Okay, here we go with another review. We had a lot of selling pressure today in these momentum stocks, um, electric vehicle stocks, and crypto stocks. Um, Getting hit pretty hard here. So we'll go through some charts here. I got a pretty big watch list, so I'm just going to pick some out that I'd like to check out here. So first on the list is NAT, Nordic American Tanker. Tankers almost seem like they're trying to make some kind of recovery here. These things have been in a long-term downtrend. Uh, let's see, back in October, took a spike up, and things seem to be kind of changing with the trend here. So we've come down to this sort of consolidation base right here. Let's draw a line here. So we kind of got this consolidation base right here, and then we're getting kind of getting a new rising trend line. Right here. So if this is something you're looking to gamble on, this thing could be pretty volatile. As far as I'm concerned, it's a poor stock to trade, but it can deliver some profits if you know what you're doing. But I would look to get in at the bottom of this trend line here. Sometimes it just puts intraday wicks down in here, so maybe a buy order right down here at about $3.30. This is a pretty big red candle. We had a big jump up, and then, well, today we got news about that tanker being freed from the Suez Canal, so we took a big gap down today, down 12% today. Anyway, this trend line that's trying to form here might be something to watch if you're interested. I'm not interested, but it looks, just looking at it here. Plug Power is still in a momentum sell-off. We've got downtrending momentum. If you're not familiar with Ichimoku, it's composed of moving averages. The lowest moving average is the 9 period, which stays real close to price. And then we've got the 27 period here. So the 9 period is called the Tenkan-sen line. And the 9 period is called the Kijun-sen line. And then I've got, this is a 50, 100, and 200 moving average that I put in. And then we have the cloud, which is composed of moving averages. And the cloud is generated by price action and pushed forward 27 time periods. So you need to have extra time periods in your chart to basically see the future here. And our future is dismal because we have the cloud is twisted and turned red. This is all downtrending pressure now. So, and the Tenkan-sen here is short-term downtrending pressure. This indicates momentum. The first sign of a pullback will jump above the Tenkan-sen line here. And ultimately, we'll stay above the Tenkan-sen if we're in a pullback. And the Tenkan-sen will cross the Kijun-sen line and ultimately may push up to the cloud here where we have our stronger downtrending resistance. When you're in a confirmed downtrend, I typically look for new opportunities to sell when we get to the cloud. And for some reason the price doesn't respect the cloud, just continues on through, then I can stop loss quickly without accumulating a lot of losses. But this is a pretty good momentum downtrend. I have a feeling that at some point we're going to bounce, come back and either test the Kijun-sen line here or the cloud. It's a daily chart. If you look at things on a 4-hour chart, it gives you a little bit different perspective. We've got our cloud here, which basically would be the Kijun-sen line on the daily chart. So you see how we got oversold here. Now, the further price gets away from the cloud, the more likely you are to pull back. price tends to want to come back and test the cloud or test the Kijinsen here. So we're getting a little oversold here, but I mean, technically we could keep going. If we get another real big day and we come way down here, then I would say that's definitely looking oversold. At that point, if I had a short position, I'd probably go ahead and take my profits and wait for another pullback to get back in. I like to grab profits when they're good, and at some point I would expect a pullback here. We're not quite looking drastically oversold yet. Okay, this is still a 4-hour chart with DraftKings. I don't know, there was some news today. It seemed like okay news to me at a glance, but I really don't know. We dropped 8.5% today. This thing's been a nice uptrend. We've been staying above the cloud on the 4-hour chart, put in some wicks here. But all of a sudden now we've dropped below the cloud, and we've got a TK cross here. The Tenkan-sen has crossed the Kijinsen line, and we've got some down momentum going on right now. On the daily chart, this could actually be a buy opportunity if you look at the daily chart. That's a pretty big bearish candle. We came right down to this trend line that I've drawn. These things, I've just drawn this myself. It's not carved in stone. Sometimes they need to be redrawn. We've got some candles that came below this trend line. So it's just approximate. But we came right down to the cloud in this trend line. So we need to see what kind of follow through we get. If we just get a small green candle that's going to react to this downtrending Tenkan-sen now, this could start forming, this could break down and start forming a downtrend. So it's still in a confirmed uptrend because we're still above a green cloud here. Daily candlestick close down here below the cloud would be the first, would be indication of onset of a bearish trend. One of the first things I look at is the TK cross. We've had some TK crosses in the past right here. The averages crossed and we came way down here below the cloud, then we recovered. So this thing can trade with some volatility. This doesn't seem like a real nice stable trend yet, the way the cloud keeps twisting and we've dropped below it. So maybe we'll see another gap below the cloud and then try to recover. We've got the 100-period moving average here, the 200 down here. So I think what we need is we just need to get to an oversold area with a lot of these stocks where we get some bullish days and something like this could rebound. So I've been talking about this, just waiting for other things to get oversold and for this to sell off a bit to try to get in because it is in an uptrend. But with that candle today, I'm just not quite sure. SOS, when you get a lot of fast momentum like this, it makes some weird clouds with Ichimoku. A straight up thin cloud really doesn't give any support to the price. It's really almost invisible to the price action. So, but we do have this flat area up here, which is strong resistance now. We can see how we've reacted to this strong resistance here a few times. And now we've got the Kijinsen is curving down, Tenkan-sen. So we're below all of our downtrending indicators here. We were trying to find some support for the 50 moving average, but these downtrending indicators are going to cause a problem with the price until the price can get above them. But then we've got this to deal with. So I see downside with this. We're trying to consolidate in this area here. We haven't really done this. See, we sold off so fast here, it got oversold so quickly that now it's just kind of trying to consolidate and recover from that, and ultimately we could see another push down. There is more downtrending pressure than there is support. With a straight up trend like this, there really isn't any meaningful support. So I think this is just consolidation from oversold so quickly. CCIV, a lot of people ask about this one. It's another one where we had just such a fast, straight up trend that there's really no meaningful support. You find support in areas that prices spend a fair amount of time. So we got a little bit of, we spent a little bit of time bouncing around here, a little bit here, and I can see we've kind of recovered, or we kind of reacted here. So I'm calling this support right here at 21.35, which is where we're at right now, 21.35. So I would look for some follow through tomorrow. But the problem with this support is we have all this downtrending pressure. So these momentum stocks, really the charts are just broken right now. Excuse me, I need a drink of water. The technicals are just broken. I mean, there's a lot of technical damage, and it's going to take some time for these things to recover. It's not just going to take off from here and go back to the moon. That's very, very unlikely. There'd have to be some kind of big news event, or I mean, anything can happen with stocks. This is just you have to create your own bias. You can either create it based on fundamentals, what you think about the company, and call on your crystal ball to tell you where it's going, or you can look at these technicals just to tell you what kind of difficulties this has on the way back up. So with a lot of these momentum stocks, I just see a huge battle getting back up there. Realistically, I see a lot of them possibly even going all the way back down where they came from. Because like you look at these on a long-term basis, okay? This is a 10-year chart for fuel cell. You know, this was a big oversold. We got way oversold here. And then we put on this huge rally. This is a rally we just did here. So now we're back up in this channel. I mean, this thing could easily just, this whole rally could just bleed right back off. I know people are thinking fundamentals are changing and stuff, but I mean, you got to look at these companies and see if they're even profitable. This has a negative forward PE of 43.9. It's trading for 61 times sales. They did have some earning growth. Year on year was 89% earning growth. Net profit margin is negative 136%. So you can make your bull case based on fundamentals, but I use technicals so that I can protect myself from downside risk, because I can just say, well, this thing's going to 100, so I'm just going to stay in it. Well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it just bleeds all the way back off down here to $4 or $5. So that's why I like technicals, so that I can try to follow the trend. And right now the trend is down. Okay, this was your first sell signal with fuel cell right here, this TK cross. We took some big momentum gaps down right here. The averages crossed, and we just blew right through the cloud almost like it wasn't there. We did bounce here and retest up here and then failed. So this is a pretty bearish sign right here. When we come back up into the cloud and test again and fail, and now we're below it. We've got these moving averages, Keatonson here and the Tinkinson bearing down on the price. So we haven't made a new low yet. This is not quite oversold yet. If we did bounce from here, this could turn into a meaningful support area. So, after hours, this went down just a little, 0.24%. So, some of these things, if it's put on a meaningful bounce right here and put in a great big green candle with some follow through, then that could change our bias, get us above these downtrending indicators, back above the cloud ultimately. That's what you need to look for to get bullish on this, I think, right now. I think it's in for a lot of downside, really, from what I see in the chart. GVO has been hanging in there pretty good, but now we're starting to get below the cloud. I have this red line up here. This is based on a long-term chart. A lot of people think I'm crazy looking at 10-year charts, but I look at them. I think other smart money in the market looks at them. And this trend right here, when this thing was rallying, I'm looking at the 10-year chart. I'm like, hey guys, we might run into a little trouble right up in here because look at this 10-year chart. And then I just get criticized. Oh, nobody looks at 10-year charts. Things have changed. This isn't 10 years ago. This is today. But nonetheless, here we are. We did react there, close to there. So did the rest of the market. So now we're below the cloud. Price is bearish. We've got our Kijinsen above the price, our Tinkinson here. So we've got multiple levels of downtrending pressure here. You've got the cloud, the Tinkinson, the Kijinsen, the top of the cloud, and this long-term descending line that I drew. We've already fallen below the 50 moving average. We'll see what happens when we get down to the 1. A lot of times I've said in other videos that price will tend to react to these moving averages, but it doesn't mean that it's going to save the day for you. We'll get a reaction, come back up here to our downtrending pressure, and then get pushed down below that. We can't predict the price. We're just going to follow the trend and use the Ichimoku indicator to see where our downtrending pressure is. And then DM, this doesn't quite look oversold yet. I think as I'm looking at these charts tonight, I think we could continue to sell off possibly for several more days before we get oversold enough that we're due for a good bounce. If we did bounce from here, that'd be kind of an encouraging sign because we would not have made a new low yet. Some stocks are right about the point where they're almost ready to make a new low. Others aren't. So in a confirmed downtrend is a series of lower highs and lower lows. So we're looking for a lower low here to confirm our downtrend. If we don't see it, and we can get price back above these indicators, you might try a long position and see what happens when we get to the cloud here, and be prepared to cut it short if we start running into problems. Now, the same with a reaction like I mentioned with the moving averages. We can come up here to the cloud and react. Maybe we'll do one of these, and then boom, break out of it. You never know. But as soon as you see a daily candlestick above the cloud and these indicators below the price to support it, that would be where you would want to buy. Otherwise, you're just asking for trouble with these downtrending indicators, I think. So we wait till we get out of the woods before we buy. Otherwise, you're just taking a stab at a bottom, and we don't try to pick bottoms because we know what that gets us. ZOM, ZOM. I got into this trade when it made this flag pattern here. Looked like it was going to break out. It failed. Then I was hoping the cloud would support it, and this is your best support. This kind of last level of support, the flat bottom of this cloud right here. Once this breaks, we're looking at going down here to about $1. And after that, like I said, with a straight up trend like this, there really isn't much support. So this trade's basically hanging by a shoestring right now. So if we could get some bullish sentiment back in the market, and if price can get back above these downtrending indicators and back out of the cloud, we could see this thing retest some of these higher levels or possibly even break out. But looking at this chart, I think it was kind of foolish for me to get in this trade because all of this price action down here, these are all sellers. Okay, these are all people with big profits. I mean, I know some have rotated out, new people have come in, but this just gives you an idea of potential sellers. Uh, but it's kind of interesting because we're kind of trading sideways inside the cloud here. Now, the interior of the cloud indicates indecision, and you're not supposed to trade inside the cloud because price is undecided, because now we have support here and we have resistance here. So we're kind of bouncing around, and at some point we need to go one way or another. Okay? So we need to wait for a resolution to this to see which direction price is going to go before we either cut loss on our long trade or enter a new trade. So anyway, that's where that's going. You can't predict the future. You just have to try to interpret the chart. BNGO. Fallen into bearish territory here. We're now below the cloud. We dropped below. We tested this flat bottom of the cloud, which is now strong resistance. See how we reacted, but we're staying below it. We've got our indicators trending down, downtrending pressure. It's another one that's just had a huge straight up trend. No meaningful support here. Maybe right in here we could see a reaction. It's more of a zone. It's not a specific number. It's kind of a zone. So in between 578 and 420 or so, we could see a reaction there, but the market is just being so brutal on these things that have just had these tremendous runs, and I just got this gut feeling these things are just going to go right back down where they came from, which is a lot of people are just shaking their heads, no way. But yeah, it's just interesting to watch. But no, this stock has been in a downtrend. Looks like September of 2019 it IPO'd. And then we took this huge jump up, and we're kind of up above here. We're above the initial IPO price, or actually we're trading about even with it right now. So we could come back to the history of the chart here to look for support. Places that prices consolidated and spent some time. So maybe along about 425, 430 here. Way down here to $1. This area does look interesting right here, because see how we had this big wick right here, and so this, once you break this consolidation, this is now resistance. So this came up and hit that resistance, and then over here we've gotten above that resistance, so now resistance turns into support. So we've got about $4.40, this range here, 410 to 440 range. So we could see something along in there. Let's see, what else you want to look at? Oh, Dave & Buster's, ticker symbol's PLAY. I believe this is a restaurant chain stock. Put this on my radar sometime back. Dave & Buster's Entertainment, owner-operator, high-volume entertainment and dining venues under the name Dave & Buster's. Well, we don't have a Dave & Buster's here in California, but this stock, look at this trend. This thing's just gone bonzers. I would be very hesitant just to jump in right here, but this is a pretty immaculate trend right here, and to get in this trade, I would definitely look for price to maintain this orientation it's in right here, where we're trending above the Kijinsen line, and this Tenkan-sen is staying above the Kijinsen. It's just getting a little long in the tooth. Look at this cloud here, just how even and this trend is just crazy. Let's see what the long-term chart looks like. Well, this stock could be in trouble pretty soon because I don't like trading, getting into a trade with a long term that looks like this, because all of this area up in here is, there's a lot of areas that could be considered resistance. So this was kind of there's a lot of consolidation in the history of this. And then we just went into this huge oversold plunge here with COVID. And then we rallied out of it like just a straight up rally. Anyway, swing traders, day traders might find this attractive. Look for the look for a TK cross for a trend reversal on that. Snapchat, I was just talking about this the other day. It looks like we're possibly going to break down below this current support area right here. We've got a lot of resistance above. We've got resistance lines. We've got a head and shoulders top. I've drawn this trend line here. It looks like if we pull back, we may try to test that. So this thing is up quite a lot. I kind of got this V-shaped bottom here, so that's interesting. That was a good cause for the breakout. So we had this consolidation over here, a V-shaped bottom, oversold, recovery, more consolidation. So we had kind of a lot of resistance at the top of this consolidation area, and then we broke it, and this thing just broke out this huge rally, and now it's rolled over. This area here, probably spent a lot of time here, so this is a support area down around 23. This can be support here around 40. We're currently at 49. So if this breaks, I think we can go down to about 40. And then after that, there's this gap up, so there's no support in there. So this chart looks like it has some considerable downside potential to me right now. We need to see some sort of revolution or resolution in this downtrending momentum. But like I say, these things don't just go straight down. We're going to come back and we're going to retest our downtrending averages, or this downtrend line I drew, or the cloud. This could possibly be considered oversold because of how far away we are from the downtrending cloud. PLTR, I've been watching this to see if we're going to break down below this support area here. This line is just approximate. You can draw these a few different ways, but I just drew it at the bottom of these wicks and the current price the other day. We've got downtrending moving averages here, downtrending cloud, all downtrending pressure. I think at some point I feel that this is going to break. And then if it does, we really don't have any meaningful support. It's just going to have to hammer out its own support somehow, unless it's just going to go all the way back down to $9 or $10 here. So not a lot of chart history on this because it just looks like it just IPO'd back in September. And then I'm seeing this head and shoulders top, where I've seen this in a lot of charts. This head and shoulders top consolidation, a big spike up, and bleed off and try to consolidate some more. It just looks to me like the high probability trade here is for it to fail this support line, and then it's going to have to try to hammer out its own support somehow, because I'm really not seeing much of it in this chart. Maybe a little bit right in here at, what's that, $14, $15. Let's see, CVAT. Oh boy, let's get out of that. Oh, this is a penny stock I was watching because it had a bull flag thing going on, but that's pretty much failed. These things with these monster runs, the markets, the bears are just tearing them down. So I would just avoid anything you see like this. Is just up, hundreds of percent in a short amount of time. Avoid it. That's the name of the game right now. Avoid those. Nicola, this thing has been in a descending channel ever since this peak right here. Some short sell opportunities when it gets to the top of the channel here. So the trend is down until it's not. And that is definitely a downtrend. CTRM, another one with a big, huge, straight up rally. Not much meaningful support. Looks like it's trying to find some right in here. You see that? This little range, and we put in this wick right here. It's kind of a reversal wick. Got back above Tinkinson, and now we've fallen below Tinkinson again. So we've got downtrending pressure from all of our components of Ichimoku right here. So looking at the long term of this chart, this doesn't look good. I mean, this is not exactly like an Apple or Microsoft chart where you have a nice long uptrend that you can try to find some trend line support. So to me, these momentum stocks are getting hammered so bad because I think that the technicals are just broken. Neo is trying to find some support from its last level of uptrending support, which is 200 period moving average. But we've got all this downtrending pressure up here. So it's normal to react to these things until we start running into trouble with these downtrending indicators. At some point, price can and we'll get past them, but I think this fall is just beginning, really. This is just still in its infant stage from what I can see. Okay, we've got our head and shoulders top, just like with so many of these other momentum things that have failed. It's not a very well pronounced head and shoulders top. It's kind of like a Hunchback of Notre Dame top, maybe. Tesla is trying not to find a new low. So this is kind of interesting to watch because this could kind of act as a barometer for the rest of the EV market if this does not make a new low. But we still have all this downtrending pressure over here. I know the market kind of has a love affair with this stock, as one trader mentioned. It's more of a following. This stock has a lot of followers, a lot of people who really believes that it deserves to go to the moon or $3,000. I guess Kathy Wood has a price target of $3,000 on it. Well, I don't care what anybody's price target is. I look at the technicals. So until we can get back above the cloud, the price is bearish. So unless you're into picking bottoms, and if you're already in it and you like it, just long-term investment, you're willing to cope with whatever downside risk it presents, and that's totally fine. That's up to you. But to me, for something with a trend line like this, remember what I said about trend lines that make sense? Okay, this trend line here to me kind of makes sense. We did a lot of consolidation. So consolidation base, and then we had a breakout. Okay, just like with something else we were just talking about, where we had a lot of consolidation, So the top of this consolidation was resistance for quite some time, and then we broke out and we just went to hog heaven here. I kind of doubt this is going to bleed all the way back down to this trend line, but you know, anything is possible. So I just follow the trend with the indicator here, and I will not be bullish on this stock until it gets back above the cloud. You can try to trade an oversold bounce. So let's say this does come down here and makes a new low. Okay, we're oversold, we're way away from the cloud. So okay, well, I'll put on a long position and I'll try this oversold bounce because maybe it will just go off into outer space now and ignore the cloud. So if you did want to start a position at an extreme oversold area like this, watch how it reacts when you get to your Kijinsen line and your cloud. It's normal for price to react there. It may start to trend down, and then it could go ahead and make its escape. But I think trading it back to the cloud and then taking your profits and then waiting to see if we can get above it might be a decent strategy. But you know, we may not get there. We're just grabbing at scenarios here. So I've kind of considered trying to play oversold bounces, but with all this downtrending pressure, those trades are pretty risky. Sundial growers, this thing got oversold so fast. Like I said with the other one, then we had some consolidation. Looked like we were going to try to go take off again, and then we encountered resistance from the Kijinsen here, and now we're back down under both. So when you get oversold so fast like this, it can give you hopes that it's just going to recover, but it just takes time for this consolidation after being so oversold to work out, and it looks like we're most likely to continue to go down with this. That's another one. These are just kind of big spikes in a long-term downtrend. Very speculative trading is what I'm seeing here. It's possible this thing could put on a trend reversal, but it's going to need time to hammer out a sustainable trend because this steep of a straight up move is not sustainable. So we pull back, maybe we could try to start establishing a stable trend somehow, you know. It's one possibility. If you're bullish on this stock, maybe it will try to establish a new rising trend, but this kind of straight up momentum here is usually gets wiped out. It's just too fast. People make money that fast. What do you want to do with it? Just going to leave it on the table for someone else to grab? I'm not. Ideonomics, IDEX, we're bearish. We're under all of our downtrending indicators. Downtrending pressure. I don't know if you could call this a head and shoulders top, but we're seeing this big climax top. Let's see, I've got a line drawn here. Let's see what the 10-year looks like. Yep. See the 10-year chart? I don't like charts that look like this. This is good for swing trading hype and momentum, but as far as a long-term investment, you're wishing for the world here. I think it's going to take time for a long-term downtrending tops like this to iron themselves out. It's just not going to go straight up like a rocket, like so many people wish. So let's see. Let's see if we can imagine a new rising trend for this. Okay, you can play around with drawing some lines. I always recommend that people get yourself a good charting platform where you can start drawing your lines. Okay, look what we got here. We gapped up right here. This is the lowest low, a little bit higher low, a little bit higher low here. We could even draw a channel. Let's see, we could draw a rising channel. You know, some of these peaks are way above it here, but so you get my meaning. So if you want to try to watch something like that and look for a reaction as we get down in here, it's possible. But right now, all I see, like I say, is this downtrending pressure. So way down in here would definitely be oversold. If you want to try to put a long position there and hope for this trend line to hold, that could possibly be a decent play. Just the main thing is to limit your downside risk. So trying to pick the bottom here, you have potential downside risk all the way down to this trend line. And that's not a fun game to play. You're going to get tired of accumulating losses and eventually stop out. The next thing you know, we react here, and then it's like, well, what the heck's going on? You know, this thing has been sucking for weeks, and now it's on a tear. So like I say, I just like to wait for confirmation of a new uptrend and get back above the cloud, unless you want to try to play this trend line here. Let's see, BLOK. This thing's actually held up pretty well. It looked like we were going to fail here. We dropped down into the cloud. This looks like it's pretty decent support right here. What do we got here? 48, about 48.50. So right now this is support. We've kind of got this double top thing going on here. Almost looks like a camel. So I would watch this top right here, because if we're going to try to go back up and test that again and make a triple top, that could be bad news. This had a nice straight up rally. You know, this thing came from down here at $20 and went to 60. So, you know, we're up 300%. So right now this isn't actually looking too bad. We've got the Tinkinson right here on top of the price, trying to push us down. It's a possibility we could come back down into the cloud. So if I see price come back down into the cloud again, like it did here, with say a red bar right here underneath the top of the cloud, I would start to get a little worried about this trade. And then of course, if this support line here fails and fall below the cloud, it's this thing is in trouble. AMC, this thing's been trying to hold up, but we're kind of trapped between support and resistance. Okay, we've got the flat top of the cloud, which is resistance. Tinkinson can put downtrending pressure, but it's kind of flat right here because we've got this consolidation going on. Kijinsen's right here. We've got a rising 50 moving average. So like I said, the interior of the cloud is undecided. We need to wait for a resolution here. We need to either break out with I like to look for the full body of a candlestick above or below the cloud. Full body, like what we saw right here. Okay, well this breakout kind of failed. Full body of a candlestick above the cloud here, nice bullish candle, and then we failed. And now we're bouncing around the cloud here. So this thing has really surprised me. I really figured it would fail well before now. I figured it would fail as soon as we got to this resistance area here. But we put in this big bullish candle above it. So I think at some point, a lot of people could agree this is going to eventually fail. because this trend does not make sense. Okay, this is not a good long-term rising trend that could support a good bull case. This is just a bunch of momentum hype. So you trade the hype and you invest in good, solid rising trends. Genius Brands looks like it's kind of put in this double top, or so this is resistance now at about $3, $3.12, $3.10. I was in this. I decided to take some profits, and I might try it again when we get back down to this trend line. We've got this new trend line trying to form here. Put in a double bottom at $1. So it's something I'm watching. Let's look at Twitter. Oh my gosh, we're going long here. We better wind up. Better end this thing. Twitter looks like it's breaking down. We had TK cross trending below the Tinkinson now. We're accumulating downtrending pressure. Pretty steep trend. We've got support down here at $55. Alright, I'm going to cut it off for tonight. 45 minutes is kind of long.